Hi, Leah Miller.
Hi,
Welcome
Tracy.
back to Pickleball Obsession. Thank God you share the obsession of we amateurs. I guess you coaches have to.
We
Otherwise,
do. We
how
love it.
how you have to love it absurdly much to spend the number of hours you do on a court. So there's a shot that you were helping a friend of yours who's on the pro circuit who does traveling clinics or camps. A shot that we've not necessarily ever identified before. I used to be told by coaches, yeah, you can do for a third shot, you can do a drive drop. That's what they
Yep.
call it, drive
A
drop.
drive drop. Yep.
But you guys called it a drip, the drip shot. And I'd love to talk about that, which I guess we have to talk briefly first about the third shot. I've served, you've returned it to me. Now I have to get up to the kitchen. So does my partner. To do that, I used to have basically two choices: drop it, which is considered the right one or the best one, or drive it, which you usually wind up doing when your first three drops wind up in the net or on your
Yes.
side. That's a separate conversation. But the drip shot is a wonderful sort of combo of the two. Can you talk about, describe it, and then talk about when would be the good time to use it? What
Yes, definitely. It is actually, I played a little bit this morning and they were not hitting. So good luck for you tonight. No, I'm just kidding.
we've got a league match against each other
Yeah,
later. If people want
exactly.
to know my level of masochism, yeah, I'm going to play against two of my premier coaches on this show
Yeah.
in real life,
Right.
Leah and Greg Dietrich, and they're going to be playing me and my pal Jimmy, who's
Yeah.
this divine, marvelous
Love him.
meteorologist. He's the weatherman for the local CBS station. He's very good, and I'm
He is
all right
good.
too, but we really are in over our heads.
Yeah.
But we're
No,
fine with it. It's going to
we
be
have a good time. We have
we
good
do.
etiquette. Um,
Excellent point.
Right. So the drip shot is a shot that I personally started using probably about 6 to 8 months ago. It is all about timing, your paddle placement, and your footwork and the follow through. It is that in between of a drop and a drive and creating that top spin so it drips into the kitchen so it's not attackable.
Now, a third shot drop, in theory, is supposed to do that too, but many times our third shot drops are not close to the net in the kitchen. They're deeper in the kitchen and they do bounce up, making them 100% attackable and then
Yes.
discouraging you from ever really perfecting your third shot drop. So the drip gives you more topspin, making it drop
Yes.
sooner and stay lower. Is that its value?
Correct. And it's attacking their feet more. As it's
I see.
dropping, it's dipping right into their feet and hitting their shoelaces or their paddles too low and they can't do anything. So it's either going into the net or they're popping it up. So me having a drip, I will most of the time, if I know I'm hitting a good shot, I will tell my partner to go because I know if they
Ah,
crash the net, then they have an awesome poach or put away shot.
because you've dripped and that's caused an attackable ball to come back at you.
So I'm having offense to create offense again to come back at us
A
rather
put
than
away.
doing a
Right.
drop shot where you're just creating offense so you can reset to be defensive then at the line.
So if you do a third shot drop, the old fashioned one or the one that's still
Mhm.
obviously in use,
Yes.
it gives you more time in theory to get up to
Yep.
the kitchen, but it hasn't given you control of that point. It
Correct.
simply bought you some time in a kind of neutral way. They're already up at the net, and there's a good chance that they're going to eat it up.
Correct. So my thing is I like switching them up because a drop shot. So I had my knee replaced almost 3 years ago. Total knee replacement. We can talk about that another time though
We
too.
could. I had one
So
too.
yeah, coming back from that injury, which was so much fun, not. But all I did was drop shots because I want that height and that juicy meatball to land in the kitchen so they can't attack me. So then I have time to come to the net and neutralize it. So my partner and I can now be a wall and a team at the line.
So let's talk about those elements that
Okay.
make up the drip shot. So
Sure.
the first thing is you said paddle placement. If you're going to have top spin, we want the paddle low.
Correct. So my top three things that I teach are feet first, patience, finesse. If your feet are in the right position, you have the patience for your shot, and you just lift and finesse that paddle to with the ball, your success rate of having a nice shot goes up tremendously. So, with a drip shot, you want to be in a split step stance in a little bit of a lunge. You want to have your chest forward, dip the wrist. I can't really describe it as well as I could show it, right? And you want to use your body and a little flick of the wrist so you can create that top spin.
So your knees and your body are what lift the ball along with your paddle?
Oh, yeah. So it's one fluid motion. So you want to plant, do your shot, lift that ball, and as soon as you can hear and feel that ball come off your paddle, you know if it's a good shot or not at a higher level. That's what I try
Right,
to teach people. I
right.
try to get people to get that point, so when you know you hit that, you're not admiring it, smoking your cigarette, drinking your coffee or tea, watching it. Be offensive and get up there to that line and be able to have that put away shot.
So you've done this good drip, and what makes it a drip is that there's more power behind it than a
Yep.
third shot drop, which has that kind of soft, neutral feel to it and look to it.
Yep. So it's like I call it my sneak attack shot sometimes because it looks like
Ah,
you're lining up for a drop, but that flick of the wrist and the paddle placement and using your chest forward to keep it flatter so you're not popping it up for that meatball and that juicy yummy shot.
explain chest forward.
So when I say chest forward, I say just that slight lean forward because if I'm standing up with it, it's going to pop up. But if I can have that slight chest forward and follow through with my shot, I have a better chance of keeping it flatter rather than giving them that pop up to keep us back.
So chest facing the ground,
Yeah.
not upright.
Correct. Because once you stand up with it, where's that ball and the paddle going to go? It's going to
Up.
go up, right?
Yeah.
If you can have it slightly forward and you're leaning into the shot, you don't need as much power. And then you can create that top spin by getting the back of the ball. So then your opponent, essentially, you want them to pop it up.
Now, when you do the drip, is it easier or more effective if you do it straight ahead of you or on the diagonal?
Are you trying to get my tricks for tonight, Tracy?
Uh, now
I'm
look at me. I mean, I'm
kidding.
thinking if I was to do the drip, and I was in that clinic you did, and
Yep.
it wasn't clear to me, were you supposed to go straight ahead? Were you supposed to go
Yep.
cross court? Cross court felt more natural to me, but
Mhm.
usually, and is that what we would do in a third? We would drip it to the person coming in.
And yes, you always, for me personally, if you're the serving team, you always want to hit it to that moving person or middle. Two reasons. Okay.
Yep.
Middle causes confusion, less room for error. You're not going to have to paint lines. You can just,
Right.
and it's 2 inches shorter in the middle too. A lot of people don't know that. It's
Net.
34 inches in the middle and 36 on the ends.
And we knew that in tennis. Back in the day in tennis, it was so obvious. In
Yeah.
fact, I don't know, I can't remember if they still do it, but when there would be singles matches, big fancy tennis tournaments, there was a stick propping up the net on the outsides.
Oh.
Do you remember that? No, you're too young.
No, yeah, no, I don't. And I wasn't a big tennis person, to be
Oh,
honest.
you're
Yeah.
lucky. You didn't have to unlearn as many things as the rest
Yeah.
of us did. So, yes, the fact that the net is lower in the middle is something we do forget. So that if you
Yep.
are going to go down the line on whatever shot, you have to give it a little more air.
Exactly. And my biggest thing is everybody wants to hit the ball. Go to the middle. It causes confusion,
I
right?
mean, I've often when I've done that, and depending on who you're playing against, usually it's strangers. If you're playing open play, you don't
Yeah.
know everybody's habits, but they're both greedy for it. But greedy in a good
Yeah.
way. They're hungry, greedy,
I
right?
know. I always say yeah, if I always, I don't say always, but most of the time, if I know it's my partner's ball, but I was like in the point and I wanted it, I'm like, I'm sorry for being piggy. That was mine. I wanted it so bad.
Yeah, yeah. So if you put it in the middle, you get the other people to fight over it.
Correct.
So is the warm up period in a match, even in open play, a good time to try to dial in that drip to get the feeling of a drive slash drop rather
Yep.
than just doing those third shot drops that people do in warm up, which in a game look to me awfully attackable. If they were to do in a game what they do in warm up, I feel as if they're almost preparing themselves to be slammed.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing too, is that's a whole other I always tell you this every time I feel like we get off a call, is there's so much I want to talk to you about,
Yes,
because warm-ups is one of my biggest pet peeves as a coach,
yes,
watching people warm up.
yes.
You don't dink in front of each other. You know what I mean? Do a little cross court, do some transition shots, take some balls out of the air, work on some serves, work on some drives, work on some blocks. I'm like, oh, what did you do last night? We're just dinking and dinking. And then you get
Right.
into a
You're
game and
right.
everyone's like, oh, first game's a warm up game. No, it's
Well
not.
said. That we do have to do an episode on that because
Yeah.
people do chit chat in a very unorganized way of doing just ding ding
Yep.
ding. That's good. All right, let's play.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
haven't really dialed in the rest of your brain.
Yeah.
So the drip shot, if you want to understand it, and anyone can create it, just think of a drive, drop. So it's a combination. You're not driving it flat out. You want it to land in the kitchen, and you're doing that with footwork, the paddle low, brushing up on the ball to create topspin, and your chest forward, leaning forward, not
Uh,
up.
Correct. Another big thing too that I see when people are doing is moving with the shot. It's so
Oh,
crucial to be planted and have control with it. Because if you think about it, that return most of the time is coming at you with some pace and power,
yes,
right? If
yes.
you're moving, yeah, if you're moving with the ball, you're creating more energy for that ball. Your legs are like shock absorbers. You want to be planted and be able to take back control of that ball and do a beautiful drip.
That's a really good point. The drip works if you are cemented to the floor. And after you finish the shot, as you said, Leah, if it felt good to you and it looks good to you and your partner, hustle up to that kitchen, but not
Correct.
until you finish the shot. Leah
Yes.
Miller, you're amazing. I'm
Thank you.
sorry that I'm going to have to beat you later. So sorry.
Oh, talk about good. You know what, Tracy? As long as we have good points and a good match, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I wishful thinking in my dreams.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leah. Take care.
Thank
Talk to you
you.
soon.
I'll see
Bye.
you soon. Bye.